There's a live video coming in from Tahrir Square in Cairo, where demonstrators again were meeting and said that they were not going to go away until Mubarak steps down, and they have been attacked by pro-Mubarak vigilantes. We have the people praying with their congregational prayer, afternoon prayer, and on the side there are others that are being attacked. So very disturbing development that is taking place right now in Tahrir Square. Here's other footage from another side that we see people are running. Can't make it out right now exactly if the camels or the horses are in there and attacking, or exactly what's going on, but obviously a situation, not a calm situation in general. And it's in deep contrast to what we saw just 24 hours ago when millions turned out on Tahrir Square, but there were absolutely no problems. And what everyone, our reporters on the ground, were talking about yesterday was the total sense of unity and community, that people were taking care of each other, feeding each other. There we go. We see another group. It seems like they're taking someone who's been wounded out, or trying to get help. Hopefully nothing more serious than a wound, and hopefully not a mortal wound. Again, what we're looking at are these live pictures coming in from Cairo. People have just finished, it seemed, their congregational prayer. Protesters are obviously carrying out someone who has been wounded, trying to get help, and I'm sure many have been wounded as we saw them galloping in, coming in on horses and camels and swinging their batons and swinging and wielding knives. So a very unfortunate development in total contrast of what we saw just 24 hours ago and even earlier today, as the protesters gathered once again in total calm and total peace, of course, with a unison message of wanting Mubarak to step down. They want him to go now. And of course, Mubarak, in his speech last night, midnight, I believe, Cairo time, basically he said he was not going to step down at this point in time. We have others praying on the other side right now. There are so many things that seem to be taking place right now in Tahrir Square. This is a long shot. The people at the top of your screen seem to be praying, and then there's something going on at the bottom of the screen. Really can't make it out right now. But a very unfortunate development, but perhaps, as I said, not unexpected. Again, it seems to be another person who has been wounded that they're trying to take him out and get help for.
Well, there's a couple of things here that needs to be noted. First of all, let's look at what happened in terms of the scenes, which I think we're going to get on our screens again. And that's when the protesters were praying. And what happened in turn was there was a ring that was made around the ones who were praying in order to protect them from these what's called the pro-regime vigilantes, which these could be the pro-Mubarak NDP the party members and the secret police that are dressed in plain clothes, along with vigilantes, to break up these protests. But what happened then was that these vigilantes actually came and attacked that ring that was protecting the people that were praying. That's one aspect of it, to show what is being ordered in terms of how things should be done on the ground, in terms of from the top, Mubarak, and the orders that were given. Now, another aspect to this is that while this was going on with the vigilantes attacking the protesters, stones being thrown by the protesters with the vigilantes who had knives, that at this point we can see some perhaps may have been injured, that this was happening around the army tanks that are sitting on the streets, who were acting neutral towards this. Now, these are the same tanks. This is the army that came out in support of the people. It said that they will not exercise any violence. But at this point, when violence is being exercised on the people, curious why they took no action. So that's something that needs to be broken down as to why. We had a political analyst, Saeed Zolbakhar, who told us that these are orders that have been given by the Americans. Of course, this is speculation, but at this point it's a big question mark.
I think one thing, it's probably quite symbolic. It seems that there's a lot of animosity right now towards Islam. If, when we're noticing reports in various of the mainstream media, they had continually talked very negative about the Muslim Brotherhood and what a danger it would be if they came in control. And as our reporter was on the ground yesterday and talking to individuals, just regular people, not part of that organization, they talked about how much they had helped them. Again, live footage, it seems like perhaps that some of the protesters have gotten someone, or either they're trying to separate this person from others, I'm not sure. But going back to what I was saying, there seems to be this underlying animosity or this negative picture that is wanted to be depicted of Muslims or Islam or Islamic organizations. And I think nothing could be more symbolic of what we just saw as people stopped for afternoon prayers, and then others had to try to form a ring because others were the vigilantes wanted to attack them. So I think that there's nothing more obvious than that there is this underlying animosity that we are seeing and hearing also, Kaveh. I've been monitoring various media entities, and this is a continual message that is being brought up. And of course, what various leaders, from the senators in the U.S. to even Netanyahu in Israel, one of their main concerns about that is the Islamic element.
I'm sorry to cut you off. We're going to find out what Hassan Ghani is experiencing. Hassan, we understand that you've been hit by a brick. Tell us what's going on the streets there. If we have Hassan. Hassan, do you hear me? Yes, we have you. Go ahead.
I'm in the middle of a street where for the last 20 minutes there's been a pitched battle between the people of the anti-government movement who've been holding out at Tahrir Square and the pro-government, what I can only describe as who attack them with bricks and stones. Again, there is a massive rush. I'm having to run backwards now because they're attacking us with stones and bricks, and there is a 4x4 running into the crowd as I speak. I've already been hit once in the leg by a brick and once in the arm. This is how volatile the situation here is. The people on the other side, on the pro-government side, are determined to take this square from the anti-government movement. There are dozens of people lying on the floor injured here. Some of them seem to be very serious. I saw one man earlier on. So he seemed to be, he was reciting the Shahada. I'm not sure how serious the situation is, but any Muslims will know that you recite the Shahada at the point of death. That's how serious the situation is here. There's a bunch of hundreds, perhaps thousands of young, angry thugs on the other side of this front line. I'm on the front line right now, and they are throwing boulders towards us. And again, they're pushing forward. They're pushing forward, assisted by vehicles, people with crowbars and stones and bricks. There are, as I said, a number of people lying on the floor. But the people of the Tahrir Square protest are holding their ground. Despite falling on the floor, being injured, many of them are holding their ground, pushing these crowds back. And there are many cars with their windows smashed. Property, of course, is being damaged, but that's really not the real concern here. The concern is the people. There are some women here, of course, as well. As you remember, as I was reporting earlier in the day and the previous days, there are families in Tahrir Square, and this violence is being perpetrated on them, as well as the men who are trying to defend the square from the pro-mubarak demonstration, thugs, whatever you'd like to call them. I don't really know what to call them at this stage, because they've essentially gathered bricks with the intention of attacking these people. And despite that, despite the overwhelming use of force that they've got, ramming into the crowd with 4x4 trucks, these people are not they're standing their ground. The Tahrir Square protesters are standing their ground. They have to move because there's some bush coming at me. As I said, I too have been hit by bricks twice now. Now the Tahrir Square protesters are pushing their way down this site in an effort to retake ground, push the government forces back. this is a game that's being played all day, but it's a fatal game because people are hitting the floor seriously injured. At one point, the government supporters came towards the crowd, asking the Tahrir protestors, the movement, to back off, telling them, okay, ceasefire, we want peace. Some of them came forward to hug and embrace the anti-government protestors. And at that point, the government forces pushed forward and attacked once again. This is the kind of attitude and the violence that is being perpetrated on the Tahrir Square protesters today. And as I said...
Okay. Hassan, why don't you catch your breath for a second so I could explain to our viewers what is going on. As you can see, this is the voice of Hassan Ghani. Hassan Ghani, our correspondent there in the streets in Cairo, Tahrir Square. You're seeing multiple images now of what is going on. And these are clashes that have taken place between the pro-regime vigilantes, as they call it, obviously loyalists to Mubarak in one form or another, along with thugs that have been ordered to come out on the streets. They have knives with them, they have machetes with them, they've been on horses, and they've been dispersed into the crowd, in which there have been obviously some clashes which has resulted in injuries. Our correspondent Hassan Ghani himself has been hit by a brick. He also said that his foot was injured, but these obviously are clashes that have been instructed to take place. Some sources that we've received indicate that these orders might have come from the VP himself, Suleiman, to have ordered for these thugs and pro-regime vigilantes to come out and try to break the spirit of these protesters. Hassan, why don't you tell us in terms of the numbers? I mean, how many of them are there, these vigilantes that are there? Because obviously they've got to be outnumbered by the number of protesters. Is there any way of containing them, or are they all armed to the teeth? And also, any sightings of any live ammunition that perhaps they might have in form of guns?
Are you speaking to me personally?
Go ahead, Hassan.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't quite get your question.
Do they have guns with them? Tell us about that.
So far, I've only seen blunt instruments, crowbars, iron bars that the pro-Mubarak group were carrying. On the other hand, the anti-government, the opposition movement are picking up whatever they can. They're using the military barricades that the military is using to police the streets to actually hold their ground. The military have done absolutely nothing. The military, who are supposed to be neutral in this, have done absolutely nothing. I've seen the soldiers. They're standing on the side, watching what's going on, not getting involved at all. And in that sense, I can only assume. I'm having to run. I'm sorry. I'm having to run because there's a hail of bricks coming down on top of me, along with all these other people. I can only assume that the military has been given orders to let these events unfold, not to interfere, allow this government group to push its way into the square and attack these people in Tahrir Square. If they wanted to, the military could simply fire a few shots into the air if they wanted to take control of the situation. I haven't heard a single shot fired into the air today. It's very clear that this is being coordinated at the very top level. And as I said, the people